Hi everyone, welcome to Yoga Therapy Thursday. So today, since it's so close to my favorite holiday, Halloween, scary stuff abounds. Let's talk about something scary. Let's talk about fear. And what does fear have to do with yoga? So we have this in yoga philosophy, there are terms called kleshas. And kleshas, I like to call them the shadow side of ourselves. These are often hidden aspects of ourselves that maybe we don't recognize or we choose not to recognize. But the problem is they tend to be a pretty big driving force in our life without us realizing it, unless we do actually recognize it. So one klesha, actually it's the final klesha, is fear. And it's actually the fear of loss. But we're going to go into different types of fears because there's lots. So often fear is associated with attachment of some sort. Not always, but often is the case. Attachment is often comes up in yoga philosophy. I believe it is a klesha. Attachment is a klesha, and it's also one of the, oh goodness, forgive me, it's a yama or a nayama. We'll get into that eventually. My mind is going blank right now because it's late afternoon. And yeah. Okay. Anyway, so fear of attachment. We're usually afraid of losing something and something that we're attached to, and we identify this as part of ourselves. So identity, oh, another klesha, there it is. Those kleshas coming up like crazy today. So yeah, fear, we're afraid of losing something. We're afraid of something that we are attached to that we deem as part of ourselves is often the case. Sometimes we fear the future, and it produces anxiety because what's going to happen? I don't know. And so there's lots of fears. Fear of loneliness, fear of death, fear of asking that person out, fear of taking a job, fear of starting a job or starting your own business. Tons of fears out there. What do we do about it? What do we do about the fears? So, one thing to keep in mind. People often fear failure, but people fear success just as easily as they fear failure. And you may be thinking, what? No, people don't fear success. People want success. Think about it. Some people fear success. Many people fear success just as much as they fear failure. So what are we supposed to do? I'm afraid of failure and I'm afraid of success. There are several things that we can do. So one thing is, since we're talking about Halloween, let's talk about shining light in those dark aspects of ourselves. When we shine a light, number one, we recognize that there's a fear there. I'm afraid of this. And when you verbalize it, wow, that's really cool. So we have, another yoga concept is koshas, and they're different from kleshas. Koshas are layers. So sometimes something is stuck in one layer and we have to get it out. And when we verbalize it, it's like, there it is. And it almost passes through all the layers, almost. So number one, recognize your fear. Name it. Say what it is. You know what? I'm actually really afraid of blah, 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 blah. I'm afraid of this happening. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of succeeding. I'm afraid of public speaking. I'm not afraid of public speaking. I love it. But here's my fear. Ready? Jennifer, Kathleen, this is for you. I am afraid of singing in public. So guess what I need to do? I need to face it. One of these days, I'm going to sing in public. One of these days. I'm not ready yet, but one of these days. So step number 2 is to face it. And I also like to call this sit in the mud. So sit in the mud and the muck of fear. Feel the fear. When we sit in it, when we shine that light, then it's like, oh, you know what? I'm actually not afraid of this. I'm not afraid of singing in public. I'm actually afraid of the reaction I will get. I'm afraid that people who love me will no longer like me because my voice is not Perfect. I'm afraid that people will laugh at me. And if people laugh at me, I'm going to feel shamed. So here we go. I am doing yoga therapy on myself as I'm talking to you, because it's not really necessarily the fear of singing. It's the fear of the reaction that I will get. So next thing is to ask yourself, is this rational or not? Are the people who I love really going to hate me if I don't hit the perfect note every time? Of course not. That's irrational. Will people laugh at me if I sing in public and it's in front of strangers I don't know? Will there be people out in the crowd who are going to be like, oh my God, she should not be singing? And they will laugh at me? Yeah, there might be. There's always that guy or that girl who does that. Yeah. But does that have a reflection on who I am as a person? No, it doesn't. So there we go. I've recognized the fear. I've sat in the mud with it, and I've actually gone deeper into what my true fears are. And then I talked myself through it. So you tease it apart. You kind of tease it apart and say, okay, what's really going on here? Does that mean I'm ready to sing in public yet? No. No, there's more layers that I have to go through. But I will continue working on that. So one of the things you can ask yourself is, what is the worst thing that can happen? And can I live with it? What is the worst thing that will happen? And can I live with that? One more thing before I go, I recently watched a TED Talk because I love TED Talks, and I encourage you to check it out if any of what I'm saying resonates with you. It's not necessarily, he's not necessarily yoga philosophy, but it still relates to what we're talking about, fear. It's a TED Talk by Tim Ferriss, Ferriss, and I'm looking down because I wrote down the name of it. And he does something called fear setting. Instead of goal setting, he does fear setting. And what that means is basically what I just said. What's the worst thing that can happen, and can he live with it? So first thing that he does is he will define the fears. He'll make a list. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, but I'm afraid. Here's the list of everything I'm afraid of. And then he'll go through, which one of these can I prevent? How can I prevent it from happening? Well, I can take steps to do this, 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 and this. And if it's something that I just can't prevent, that, it's just a what if. What if what if I don't know? What if this? What if that? And it's out of my control. It's something I can't control. Well, what can you do to repair it then? So he says, how can we repair it? I'm going to add something onto that and say, how can I accept that? Can I accept that could potentially happen? I'm afraid that, if I go, I don't know, cliff diving, I might die. Okay. How can you prevent it? Well, I can, I know nothing about cliff diving. I made that up off the top of my head, but I can, I don't know, do this, this, and this, make sure that I'm landing in water and not rocks. Yeah, make sure I have the perfect dive. I don't know. Learn some things. That's how I can prevent it. But if something happens that I go cliff diving and I still get seriously injured, can I live with that? Can I accept it? Is there anything I can do to potentially repair it? Yeah, there might be some things. I don't know. I'm actually not going to go cliff diving because no, it's not worth it to me. But for some people it is. And if that's your thing, awesome. The other thing he talks about is what I just said. Is it worthy to even attempt this? So you go through, I'm going to go cliff diving. I'm afraid that I'm going to injure my back if I do this. And I don't know, never walk again, or I might die. Okay, how can I prevent this from happening? Well, I can make sure that I know exactly what I'm doing. I can go with a group of friends, and I can go to a place that is known for being safe for cliff diving. I can maybe go from a lower level and maybe not so high up. Okay, you still might die, and you still might injure your spine to the point of no repair. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I'm cool with it. Okay, then it's worthy. Do it. Or you might say, nope, not cool with it. Final thing is this. Ask yourself, what happens if I don't do it? So for example, if your fear is to ask somebody out, you're seeing a really good looking person, guy or girl, and you want to ask them out, but you're afraid. What if they say no? What if? All right. How can I prevent these what ifs? How can I repair them if it does happen? Is it worth it? It might be worth it. I don't know. But what happens if I don't? What happens if I don't ask that person out? What, all right, I'm going to continue to be lonely. Am I okay with that? I don't know. So these are the questions that you can ask yourself. And wow, this was a longer TED Talk. See, I'm not doing a TED Talk. I'm doing a yoga therapy talk. Anyway, this is a longer talk than I planned. Happy Halloween! Get in touch with your fears. You can do it. They're actually not as scary as you think. Once you shine the light on your fears, you realize that, they weren't really all that scary anyway. So good luck with that. If this is something that resonates with you and you would like a private yoga session with me, please contact me. My Facebook page is Transcend Yoga, and you can email me at yogawithjillian11, that's the number 11, @gmail.com. Okay, peace.